to a van.
All the other ones, we can do it.
Okay. Okay. So, and then tomorrow night we have the movie. Have you all signed up for that? Okay. And we have Senator Russell Ruderman going to give some remarks tomorrow night. You know, next year we're having our state convention. Hawaii Farmers Union United is having a state convention next year here in Hawaii. So we're not sure where it's going to be, but this center is kind of nice, huh? Kind of centralized. What do you think, Steve Sakala? We got to get together with all the presidents and find out where you guys hold the convention next year, yeah? Yeah, a little far for you. Oh, I get it. Yeah, right, yeah. And so, you know, if anybody wants to make the trek to Maui, November 13th through 15th, we have our convention happening. Go online to hfuuhi.org. And so, as a show of hands, how many people weren't members of Farmers Union when you came to this symposium? And are you now members? Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. So, Dr. Kun Hui is a researcher with UH-Manoa, and she's going to talk about natural farming and her research with natural farming. And please listen closely to what she has to share. She's a bright young mind and committed to her work. So please give a warm welcome to Dr. Kun Hui.
Thank you for including me in this great symposium. And thanks for staying for so late. And I will try not to be too long, although I have many slides to share with you. I started working on Korean natural farming since 2010 when I first attended Master Cho's seminar. And Mike DuPont had been asking me to check out the soil health related to this. I'm really a plant pathologist, nematologist, and now my position is sustainable pest management. So why am I included in this talk? And most of you here have already practiced Korean natural farming and you have more experience than me. I just have one skill that I have been using a lot. So I use nematode as a soil health indicator. So basically, I just rely on what the nematode tell me, and so you'll see the result from what the nematode is telling you. So, okay. So just a summary of what Korean natural farming basic principle is. It involves collecting and culturing the indigenous microorganism from your natural area close to your region and reintroduce them into your agricultural land that you have heard that we have been tilling and disturbing the soil, and all the soil food web have been disturbed. And so Adam Reed have been brief you on all the importance of soil health. And so the concept is using the IMO that you culture and then to enhance the soil nutrient cycling. And this is what I'm going to emphasize a lot throughout the talk here. Basically, you are recycling nutrients. All the crop residues from last season or any leaf litter that dropped down, and it's about recycling your soil nutrients. The IMO by itself is not sufficient. The amount that we put in is so little, which is great because conventional farming, you might hauling in 10 tons per acre of compost, and that's expensive to household heavy compost. But if you calculate what IMO you apply in a natural farming protocol, is less than half a ton or 1,300 pounds. So this is way less than the 10 tons that we have to apply as a compost. So you want to help the plant to produce healthy root system for efficient nutrient cycling. So the other part of what IMO do is to help your plant's roots to grow well with lots of microalgae to absorb all the nutrients that are harder to absorb if you don't have a healthy root system. So this is the main concept. So nutrient extract from various fermented farm waste is the other part that you guys have been hearing about, how to make the foliar spray it weekly, and this is the only nutrients inputs from this practice. So the IMO is just to help the plants to grow better. So for a healthy soil nutrient cycling system, you have all the either crop residues, or you can add mulch to the soil surface, or it can be growing a cover crop. But all these nutrients is not readily available for the plant to uptake unless they are being partly decomposed by the fungus or bacteria, and then they will turn into inorganic form, and then this inorganic form will be available for the plant to uptake. But during the fungal or bacterial decomposition process, they also have to maintain some nutrients for themselves, so they will tie up some of the nutrients in the bacteria and fungi. So to better cycling them, you will have to have bigger soil fauna, bigger organism in the soil. They will eat the fungus and bacteria, and when they recycling out, then more nutrients will turn into inorganic form. So this is where my nematode come in handy. I have bacterial feeding nematode that feed on bacteria, fungal feeding nematode feed on fungi, and we also have bigger nematodes like omnivores and predatory nematodes that recycling more nutrients that was tying up on the smaller nematodes. When this happens, then you have a good soil nutrient cycling, a better soil food web, and that's what we want to have a healthy soil health system. But all this nutrient cycling would not happen if you don't have any organic matter for it to recycling. So this explains why sometimes Korean natural farming works very well in one area, sometimes it is not, and so it all depends on what kind of nutrient is available for it to cycle. So you have crop residues is one type of nutrient that it can cycle out, but it all depends on what kind of material available in your area. But not all material are easily decomposed by bacteria, fungi, and so that play a role. So I've been, during this last 5 years since 2010, I have different people contacted me to test whether it's working or not in this area or others. So I have more than 10 field trials. 7 of them mostly are comparing if Korean natural farming is better than organic farming, or is it better than conventional farming. Some of them I actually test with or without the mulching, how important it is to have the mulch while you're practicing the natural farming. So not just IMO by itself, whether we should have the mulch or not is what we were testing. In one field trial, I actually compare IMO to other commercial soil inoculant, but some field trial totally failed because it's not magic, and if we didn't do other things right, it just doesn't work out. So I give only a few examples of what I did. So I list down what crop they use, and mainly I want you to focus on what mulch is used in this different system. So the first example was this farmer, she grows sunham cover crop for 2 months, and then she did a no-till, which is, so when Adam Reed was telling you the 4 concepts of NRCS promoted how to maintain soil health. The first 2 is you have to keep your soil covered all the time. So this is where the Korean natural farming are telling you to use mulching along with your IMO. Block the sunlight from burning out your IMO after you introduce it. The other part is natural farming actually also highly encourage you practice no-till as much as possible. Especially after you apply your IMO 4. So natural farming are quite compatible with all the soil health, 4 principles of soil health maintenance. So in this first farm, so after she grow the soybean subsequent to the sunham cover crop, so this is the different soybean green color you can see here. Just visually you can tell it's different. And you can see this is a Korean natural farming plots over here is darker than the one at the conventional. Obviously, her farm, the natural farming works very well in her farm situation. And so I measure the soybean biomass. The dark one is Korean natural farming, higher yield than the conventional. So she was using ammonia as a synthetic fertilizer in a conventional. Chlorophyll content, so we actually not just rely on eye measurement, but we measure it with a meter that measure the chlorophyll content darker in the Korean natural farming, and even the nitrogen content in the leaves was higher. So it works. And so using nematode as an indicator, it also works. So we want all the beneficial bacteria, very beneficial nematodes to be high. So bacterial walls is higher, fungi walls is higher. Omnivores, when I mark this, is statistically significant. So they actually increase the omnivores and predatory nematodes. Nothing in the conventional in the first year. And I was surprised by this because when I do conservation practice with cover crop, so I do lots of cover crop project, I won't see significant increase of predatory nematodes usually until second cycle because it takes time for them to build up. But it speeds up the soil food web build up process by introducing IMO indigenous microorganism. The other thing I consistently observe is that whenever you introduce IMO, you will improve your soil tilt. Soil tilt means how soft your soil is. So we have a compaction meter that looks like this to poke it down the soil after the IMO treatment to check how deep the soil probe can go through. So this is this measurement here. Soil depth is much deeper in the Korean natural farming versus conventional. And I also, while I'm extracting the nematode from the soil, I also see other soil fauna that come out. So one of them is the enchypted worm. This is a little cousin of earthworm. So you don't always see earthworm after disturbing the soil for a long time, but enchypted worm tends to be more commonly found, and it was much higher in the Korean natural farming. So this is from a farm that it works very well. So the second farm using wood chips. To say yield-wise, we don't see difference, and the nematode community is also not too different. But again, we see a same trend in terms of the earthworm and enchypted worms is much higher in the Korean natural farming. So bear in mind that this was wood chip. Wood chips is much harder to decompose compared to a cover crop, especially like sunham that has high nitrogen content. From the soil compaction, so this is from a third farm. This is actually a permaculture farm from La Akia in Puna area. Very healthy soil already, so can the IMO further improve it? When they try IMO 4, they didn't see any improvement in yield, but they have to use the IMO 5, which means that you add animal manure to it. And they did see an improvement in yield of the leek, burdock. Okay, so you can see there are very inconsistent results. So I'm trying to see if there's a pattern here. So I come back to Oahu. This is Windward Community College. They have a nice nursing program where they train the in-training nurse to produce organically to serve their clients. So they're healthy food, you'll be healthy patient. So Jamie Boyd is who I work with. So this is the IMO tree that they made. They open up very healthy. So they did invited Joe and G to come and give them a 4-week course. So they were trained intensively. So properly trained. So we did a cherry tomato trial where they grow Korean natural farming versus organic farming and conventional farming system. So the mulch they use is Minihuni Hawaiian Earth product composted material that we can buy in Oahu. So yard raised compost is what they use. So they have Korean natural farming versus organic greenhouse. Hawaiian come to their farm and make vermicompost for them, and they collect the worm casting, prepare the soil amendment, and then weekly drenching of vermicompost tea. Conventional system is they just use a 16-16-16 soil drenching every week. And so I just let the student do all the measurement for me. I only read the nematodes, and they tell me the earlier measurement at 6 weeks after planting, KLF tends to be slightly slower than the other treatments. And then later on, I come at 3 months after planting, I measure the plant growth again. So the conventional and organic somehow are very susceptible to septorial leaf spot as well as alternaria early blight. So they were declined already. Well, this is flushing and loss of fruit. Throughout this whole period, the student also harvests all the fruit for me, keep track on which treatment it come from. So we have yield data to compare. And at 3 months, I also measure the chlorophyll content. Again, KNF works organic, especially at 2 months after planting. This is 4 months after planting. So significantly difference between Korean natural farming, especially to the conventional treatment. Stem diameter, this indicates the plant growth is also having same trend. Not too much at the beginning, but more significant towards the end. Soil depth, again, significantly different. This is again enchytrate worms, or they probably have earthworm also. So the main purpose is so that the client will have healthier, higher nutrition food for the patient. So I submit all this fruit that they harvest to another scientist in CTAHR, Dr. Bingham, JP Bingham. He has HPLC machine that can measure the vitamin content in the fruits. Unfortunately, we didn't really see better nutrient content in Korean natural farming. But I have to say the fruit size is big difference. Good size tomato in the Korean natural farming versus a tiny bit of fruit. So it might be all concentrated nutrient-wise. So it did not result in higher tomato fruit quality. The conventional farming method produced tomato with highest amount of vitamin C, which is in the egg, and B, lycopene is another nutrient content. I also submit a sample to our ADSC to do all the mineral nutrient tests, and looks like organic has lots of the highest nutrient content, but the fruit size is also relatively small, but yield-wise is just higher in the Korean natural farming. Brix test is actually intermediate for the Korean natural farming, bigger in the conventional system. Brix is the sugar content test. So just one trial probably need to be replicated, and maybe different handler might be different, so need to be tested more frequently. So then Maui, Robin Shimabuku also asked me to conduct a trial over there in Kula Station. And I just give them the protocol, and the farm crew carried out the whole process. And they have lots of bamboo trees collection in that Kula Station, so I thought, oh good, this is a good mulch material since we like to grow our IMO under the bamboo tree. So I tell them just use bamboo leaves as a mulch. That was one big mistake I did. So lots of leaves under the mulch. And I even looked up literature. There was one publication from India that looked at what kind of fungus from bamboo needles. So they found all kind of fungus, right? You can even look it up, biodiversity 14, and lots of saprophytic fungi, which is some of this could be the white mold that we saw from the iron mold. So it shouldn't be bad using bamboo mulch. So they give me a few plots that was fallow for a long time. They were all boxes before, but nothing was growing. It was just bare fallow. They will keep the weed control very well. So 10 years later, here we start an experiment. So I planted 3 replication of each treatment, conventional, organic, and KNF. And in the KNF, I will use the bamboo mulch. And so since I let them do everything, they also say, okay, we'll compare. Most standard practice we'll always drench the seedling with some fertilizer before they put it into the ground. But KNF doesn't have drenching of fertilizer at the seedling stage, except the SES that was right before planting. So seedling was so small, and you can see after planting, you can see the conventional and organic, but you can't see the seedling, but it's planted in the KNF practice. So they were started much slower. So then we plant zucchini. Second year we plant tomato. Okay. So this is how it looks at harvest, termination of harvesting time, 2.5 months later. So doesn't seem too different, but the yield data is significantly lower in the Korean natural farming. And so this is why there are something different between the treatments. So damage-wise, less fruit, less damage, which doesn't really bother the plants. Same thing in tomato. So all no seedling drench with fertilizer for KNF, but seedling were all fertilized early on. Couldn't catch up. So you might say that, okay, let's just keep harvesting the KNF further so that we can complement the time lapse. But they have severe fruit fly problem. So if you left your field too long, if you let your crop growing there for long, the fruit fly find your fruit already. Even you want to harvest much longer, you will have loss of unmarketable fruit. So chlorophyll content was still slightly higher in the Korean natural farming. Plant height was not, so because they were started slower. And the stem diameter is also not good in the Korean natural farming. So it was slow to begin with, lack of seedling treatment, delayed the crop development. Plants were greener in the Korean natural farming at the end of the trial. After 2 months of growth, fruit flies and pickleworm damage were already very severe. So extending the harvesting time will only lead to more unmarketable fruit. So I would say that if there's something to improve on the natural farming, maybe we want to somehow give some nutrient to the seedling to let it have an early start to reduce the time exposure for the pests in the harvesting season. Soil health-wise, the first trial, this field was definitely very poor to begin with. I didn't even have predatory nematodes in year 1, but all of them are like that, no significant difference. But natural farming tends to have more bacterial decomposition, so more bacteria-feeding nematodes to begin with. But soil health, like I say, is always consistently happen. Soil health is good, probably due to the enchytrid worm. The field plot was fallow for a long time without much crop residue prior to the experiment. So IMO couldn't work because they don't have any nutrient to recycle. So overall nematode abundance was very low in trial 1, indicating that this was starting with a very stressful soil condition. And the natural farming result in higher percentage of bacterial worse nematode, indicating that more enriched soil food web and can have also improved the soil till within 1 cropping cycle, which is good. So this is just same data, same trial, just this is percentage, significantly higher in KNF for bacterial feeding. So second year, everything is improved when you keep growing crops, keep nutrient cycling happen, soil beneficial nematodes will be coming out. So still bacterial was, even organic was pretty high, but nothing really significantly different. But there was an indication here that predatory nematode was slightly higher in the Korean natural farming. But regardless of soil treatment, soil health is better in trial 2 than in trial 1. So if we keep doing in the same field plot, we might see something better. So bamboo mulch is probably not a good mulch to use. So it's all lignified, all high cellulose, very difficult to break down for the IMO to work in 1 or 2 cycles. And so then let's pay more attention to the mulch. So I do a trial. This is actually from David Wong's, and he asked me to go visit his farm once in a while, and I collected different type of sample. This is 6 months with mulch, and he used Hawaiian herb product compost, yard waste compost as a mulch. And when I take sample from this field, I have to be very careful because every now and then I dig the soil, I will find the earthworm and just loaded of them after he has been mulching them and all treated with IMO. So all this has IMO, but without the mulch, way less compared to the one that has mulch. So it's not just IMO that is working. It has to have mulching material to help it to build the soil health condition. So effect of Korean natural farming is strongly affected by the mulch type and mulch use was the yard raised compost that is easier. It's already partially decomposed, easy for the microorganism to work on compared to the bamboo mulch material. So this is a trial I did in Pomoho back in Oahu. So I compared no-till sunham with the till wheat mat method. Both has either Korean natural farming or just conventional. My conventional here is actually organic fertilized plot, so it should be organic versus Korean natural farming, but with sunham mulch or with wheat mat. So wheat mat will not have any organic mulch, it's just cover, but it still follow the principle that Master Cho recommend you want to block the sunlight from burning off the IMO. And so organic fertilizer was chicken pellet, 180 pounds of nitrogen. And for the sunham, I even use roller crimper. So this is like organic no-till practice equipment that you can roll down and crimp down the sunham and generate thick biomass. So I think I accumulated 10 to 12 tons of sunham biomass per acre during summertime. 14.7 tons per acre of sunham biomass. So sunham material, and so this is the stem diameter. So at the beginning, it doesn't. This is the one that we like, Korean natural farming with sunham no-till practice, versus a conventional, which is the chicken manure fertilizer with the wheat mat. So this is the highest inputs. You will expect them to should have more yield. So initially, Korean natural farming didn't match up with the conventional with wheat mat, but slowly, this is 3 months after planting, so it's just as good as the highest organic fertilizer and wheat mat inputs. So this is the Korean natural farming, a cherry tomato growth. Chlorophyll content also as high as the highest inputs. So it's telling you that you don't have to add fertilizer, you will still yield as good as the conventional fertilizer inputs. Tomato yield, when I have AB, it's slightly lower, but it's actually pretty much the same. Statistically not different from the organic and wheat mat. But look at the Korean natural farming with the wheat mat that doesn't have organic mulch, it's not good. So they need something to recycle. So tomato yield in Korean natural farming with sunham was comparable to using organic fertilizer and wheat mat, and can have worked better if integrated with a no-till organic mulching system. So you kind of see a trend now, you need to feed the soil. But one thing I noticed is we also think that Korean natural farming will end up having healthier plants and should be able to resist loss of pests and pathogen. But it's not a silver bullet. If there are really bad pests in your field, you have to somehow manage it with other pest management approach. Don't just rely on Korean natural farming to repel all the pests. And so we have lots of plant parasitic nematodes in the field site. And we see that sunham is known to produce allelopathic compound against the plant parasitic nematodes. So the Korean natural farming will suppress the reniform nematodes if you have sunham. So triangle with solid line will always have lower nematodes than the Korean natural farming with the wheat mat. So whenever you have sunham, you will have lower plant parasitic nematodes. So just to show you that you need some other tools beside Korean natural farming if you have to deal with pests. So just overall summary here, considering the amount of compost that recommended by the Master Cho Korean natural farming at 30 pounds of IMO with over 1,000 square feet, literally this is like 0.65 tons per acre. The practice of natural farming is very feasible and very economical compared to other organic farming practice that need higher tonnage of compost. Natural farming practitioners should consult experienced or certified natural farm instructor to conduct the natural farming properly. So if you face some challenge, talk to those successful farmers. And I just heard David Wong, Chris Trump, and John was talking about they will never go back to doing conventional farming again. after they figure out how to make the natural farming works. So natural farming will include not only inoculating the soil with IMO4, but also prepare IMO4 regionally using field soil, and you have to mulch and reduce the tillage as much as possible, and you have to do foliar spray that provide additional nutrient that is needed for the plant to grow. However, inconsistent result in producing comparable yield to the standard farming practice, either organic or the conventional practice, it still occurs despite a proper procedure, and I think it is all due to the mulch. So this brought our attention to the basic concept of natural farming, that we have to recycle the farm waste. It's not just rely on nutrients from the IMO4. Natural farming should be conducted in area with sufficient crop residues available from the previous crop, or it can be, if you don't have, this is the first cycle you're growing the crop, maybe you can start with a cover crop before you go into your crop production. My other projects are cover crop calculator, and I consistently see there's big inputs of nitrogen from loss of leguminous cover crop, and so that can be incorporated into natural farming. If crop residues is not readily available from the previous season, careful selection of mulching material like the CTAHR product or other compost. Chris Robb was using his ground up macadamia nut husk, all works. So IMO4 is prepared through mesophilic composting process. Mesophilic means it's a composting process that doesn't allow it to go to high temperature. Conventional thermophilic composting temperature will go up 130 Fahrenheit or higher, and that kills off lots of beneficial organism also. The natural farming, they say keep your temperature low. If it's too hot, you turn it so that it doesn't burn off all the beneficial. In that condition, similar to vermicompost, which is also a mesophilic decomposition, you will have higher bacteria abundance than the thermophilic composting. So this will better preserve and culture your indigenous microorganism associated with the compost. It is not meant to be the compost is not meant to be a nutrient source. It's just to introduce the indigenous microorganism to recycle the nutrients. So while proper practice of the natural farming could improve plant health, it is also not a total guarantee of no pest problem. Main approach to manage the crop pests, you should still practice other method of integrated pest management. Nutrients inputs to enhance seedling growth could speed up the transplant growth, so this can also reduce the time of exposing to lots of pests out in the field. And in general, as a good food producer, we want to also follow good pest management practices that could comply with food safety as much as possible. This will make natural farming more competitive with everything that is going outside. So with that's all I need to say. And there are lots of people involved in this project over the years. And again, I've worked closely with Ted Radovich and Jerry Sugano, extension agent in Oahu. So the project was first funded by NRCS in first year, but it seems like after the first year, I continue to have requests to do more research on it. So that. Okay, that's all.